My girlfriend's friend only wants to be a godfather of his child and wants another man to take responsibility for the baby, so I exposed the paternity scheme, and now they are screwed. I've been with my girlfriend, Becca, for over a year. Becca and her best friend, Cindy, are also close friends with Mike, whom they met in their first year of college. Something about Mike always rubbed me the wrong way. He's polite enough, but he's too handsy with the girls. I brought it up with Becca, who says Mike is like a protective big brother to them. Since Mike has been Becca's friend since she was 18, her family loves him and invites him to family gatherings. That's why I keep quiet since he's important to Becca. Mike was also at Becca's sister Bianca's engagement party. While Becca was talking to Bianca, I went outside for some air. It was cold out, so only 2 people were vaping. At the side of the house, I saw Mike and Cindy making out beside and in the ground solar light. I pulled out my phone and recorded 23 seconds of their makeout session before returning inside. On the car ride back, I told Becca that someone told me they saw Mike and Cindy kissing outside. She panicked and asked if I had told Stan what I was told. I said no, and she was relieved. I asked, "You're not surprised?" She said, "Of course not. Mike and Cindy have been off and on for years." My mind reeled since Cindy had only been with Stan for 8 months. Becca said Mike understands Cindy in a way that Stan doesn't, and that she covers for Cindy and Mike because Stan sometimes gets suspicious, which is annoying. I lost some respect for Becca then. 2 weeks later, I'm at Becca's place and Cindy calls her. She answers the call on speaker and Cindy announces that she's pregnant. Becca squeals, takes the phone off speaker, and puts it to her ear. From my side, I got that Cindy was sure the baby was Mike's, but she planned to pass it off as Stan's. When Becca ended the call, I asked her why Cindy would lie to Stan about fathering a baby. Becca said that Mike makes more money than Stan. Side note, Mike owns 3 gyms and has a personal training business. Becca then says Mike wants a kid, but doesn't want any responsibilities or to deal with baby mama drama. So since Cindy and Stan will probably get married anyway, this made sense for everyone. I was horrified and told Becca that she was just as bad as Cindy for covering this up. We got into a fight, and I left. Later, Becca calls and tells me that I'm being foolish for letting other people's drama affect our relationship. I thought we shared the same values, but that she is fine with lying about paternity sets off alarm bells. I don't see a future, but I don't know if breaking up over other people's drama is right. And I feel for Stan, who doesn't deserve any of this. I feel too guilty not doing anything. So would I be the A if I somehow anonymously sent the video of Mike and Cindy making out to Stan? Update 1. I decided that the best thing was to confront Becca and tell her that either Cindy tells Stan the truth or I will. Since today was Becca's day off work, I went to her apartment on my lunch break. Cindy was there, so I was able to tell Cindy directly. All hell broke loose. Cindy was scream-crying, and Becca was just screaming and defending her friend. They both accused me and all men of being hypocrites since we have bro codes, but we punish women for loyalty. I left midstreams. Later at work, I was called down to the lobby because an irate man wanted to see me. It was Mike, Cindy's off-and-on lover/friend, who was the real father of her unborn child. As soon as he saw me, Mike started yelling that I was a gossipy bitch for meddling in other people's lives and what he, Cindy, and Becca do is none of my business. He was escorted out and banned from the building by security. I barely got through work after that. I replayed what he said over and over. What do Cindy, Becca, and me do? What? Was he sleeping with both Becca and Cindy separately or at the same time? Could they be some kind of throuple? I went down a rabbit hole and looked him up on social media, which wasn't hard since Becca tagged him in every pic. Turns out Mike is not 30 but 35 years old. That means he was 28 when he met Becca and Cindy at 18. Could he have manipulated his way into their lives? Into their pants? Could he still be manipulating them years later? When I got home, I got a call from a strange number, but I didn't answer. Then that same number started sending me a bunch of texts. It was Stan saying just because I have outdated beliefs, it was no excuse to slut-shame his pregnant girlfriend. He's talking about my outdated belief that there would be nothing special about my wedding night if I have unprotected intimacy before marriage and so I always use protection. I figured Becca told Cindy since they share everything and for our first anniversary. Becca said we should stop using condoms since she was on birth control, but I refused. Stan was texting insults nonstop, so I sent him the video of Mike and Cindy making out. He finally took a 4-minute text break before texting. That was at Bianca's party. Stan was there and probably remembered their outfits. I texted back, yes, then nothing for 17 minutes before he texted, thanks. 30 minutes later, Becca started blowing up my phone. I turned it off, but I can hear alerts from my Apple Watch. I'm still reeling from what Mike said and plan to confront Becca about it. In the meantime, I'm so mad I want to punch something. I'm so hurt I want to scream. I plan to take tomorrow off work to deal with this. Update 2. Since Becca told me off yesterday, I had turned my phone off and was ignoring all calls and texts, but from my Apple Watch, I can see notifications. This morning, I turned my phone on to respond to a text from Stan. I called him and he apologized for his blow-up yesterday. He thanked me for sending him the video of Cindy cheating and said he wanted to know everything I knew. After I told him, he said he'd already dumped Cindy, but now he wants a prenatal paternity test. I didn't even know you could do that. If the baby's his, he will support his child, but until the test, he wants nothing to do with Cindy. I also returned a call from work and was told the man from yesterday, Mike, was pacing in front of the building earlier this morning, but security must have spooked him because he left before the cops were called. Without checking her messages, I drove to Becca's and called her from outside, saying we needed to talk. She agreed. I waited in my car forever before going to her apartment. When Becca opened the door, she practically jumped into my arms. She started saying she was sorry she yelled at me, and it was just her gut reaction to defend her BFF, but she didn't want to lose me over Cindy's drama. I practically peeled her off of me and sat on the couch. I think I was just stalling when I first asked her what the original plan was for Cindy's baby. How would it benefit Mike to have Stan raise his kid if he wanted a child so severely? She said Mike didn't want to be responsible for a kid full-time. So this way, he would get to be the godfather who spoiled the baby, and he would even pay for the kid's college later on. Then she said, but that's no longer the plan since Stan knows everything. But she quickly said, not that I blame you for that. She said that now that everything's out in the open, she wants us to return to normal. I nearly choked at normal. I got to it and asked her straight up, are you sleeping with Mike? She looked hurt that I asked that and said no. Of course not. I then asked, were you ever sleeping with him? She looked away. It was a gut punch. I just stood up and left. She let me leave but started blowing up my phone as soon as I drove off. She called nonstop and left several voice/text messages. In one, she says that her hookups with Cindy and Mike are done for good now and I'm her future. So that's one question asked and answered. In another message, she wants us to move forward and thinks we should try couples counseling. I no longer trust her, but I still love her. But I also know that counseling can't rebuild trust, so it's definitely over between us. I finally blocked her on everything and might get a row on Mike. The only good thing is at least now Stan knows the whole truth.